Welcome to Fringe Pop 321, the show that believes the world is stranger than we think, but thinking should not be strange. Chances are good that you've seen Saqqara, Egypt, even if you've not heard the name or would be unable to find it on a map. Saqqara is well known to enthusiasts of ancient Egypt and its culture. It's located roughly 15 miles southwest of Cairo in what used to be the ancient city of Memphis. The site is famous for its necropolis, an ancient graveyard, and the nearby step pyramid of Djoser. The wider Saqqara area comprises the largest single archaeological site in Egypt. It's home to the pyramids of Dashur and Giza. In terms of scholarly interest, the most famous items found in the Saqqara tombs are undoubtedly the pyramid texts. These are lengthy hieroglyphic writings inside the pyramid tombs of pharaohs. The walls of the pyramid of Unas, for example, were covered with these esoteric religious texts. When it comes to fringe pop material, though, Saqqara is known for something else: the Saqqara bird, or as fringe archaeology buffs call it, the Saqqara plane. The bird, or plane, was discovered in 1898 in the tomb of Pa di Yemen. It's very small, the wingspan is barely over 7 inches, and it's made of wood. The tomb and the object date to the Hellenistic era, circa 3rd century BC. Now, ancient astronaut theorists promote the Saqqara bird as the Saqqara plane in an effort to defend the notion that ancient Egyptians possessed flight technology. Is that what we have here? Well, let's find out. Now, the theory that the Saqqara bird is a plane and evidence of ancient flight technology has been proposed most forcefully by a trained academic, Egyptologist Dr. Khalil Masiha. Now, a couple of notes about him. First, he's an Egyptologist, not an aerospace engineer, and that sort of matters. It should also be noted that Dr. Masiha was not promoting the idea of ancient aliens with his theory. His theory was first proposed in 1969 and later updated and published in 1980 in the Journal of African Civilizations. Now, this journal is, to say the least, a rogue publication. It has a poor reputation academically, or at least in academic contexts, because it exists to promote fringe ideas like Afrocentrism. It's the only reason it was started. The journal is not, for instance, included in the major journal indexing databases for the humanities like JSTOR. While in graduate school, its editor, Dr. Ivan van Sertima, wrote a book called They Came Before Columbus, a work that puts forth the notion that Africans crossed the Atlantic and discovered North America long before the Europeans and were the point of origin for the Olmec civilization. The book was not published by an academic press. Random House has the title, and it has been excoriated by scholarly reviewers, and honestly, the reviews are brutal. Masiha's theory follows certain trajectories. Allegedly, the Saqqara bird is unlike any other carved wooden birds discovered in ancient Egypt by archaeologists. For example, it has no legs and it has a vertical tail. Now, what this theory is based on is left to the imagination, as Masiha's work puts forth no exhaustive inventory of such objects. That would have been nice, then we could tell if this is in fact unique or not. And again, that shows that we don't have sound reasoning behind the theory. It's sort of just a claim. Masiha argues further that its origin in the Hellenistic period, a time in Greek science that gave civilization things like gears and screws, Ptolemaic astronomy, and Euclidean geometry, makes flight technology in the form of gliding a coherent possibility. So in other words, because one thing was invented in a given era, we can presume some other thing was as well, even when we don't have evidence for that other thing. Or because one thing happened in an era, we know some other thing did as well. Now, this is classic non sequitur thinking, drawing a conclusion that does not follow from the data. Think of it this way by analogy. If you got a parking ticket between the age of 20 and 30, you likely also got a DUI, right? One thing happened, and therefore that means the other thing happened. Really? Again, I think we can see the faulty logic that's going on here. I'm going to suggest we try and find a less incoherent way to defend the Saqqara bird as a plane. Now, Dr. Masiha's brother, purportedly an engineer, again, we don't really have any verification of that, made a balsa wood model of the bird and claimed that it flew, that it could actually fly. Again, what flew means isn't specifically detailed. The History Channel took up the idea, though, which is no surprise given it hosts the Ancient Aliens show. Based on the fact that some amateur researchers thought the Saqqara bird looked like a plane and built a model of the object, the History Channel featured wind tunnel tests proving the Saqqara bird, again a plane in their estimation, was actually flight-worthy. Now I know that logic also fails, but I'm trying here. What you just heard is literally the alleged evidence that the Saqqara bird is a plane. It looks aerodynamic, so it must be a plane. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. Here's a news flash for the History Channel and others who think this wooden bird is proof of ancient flight. Better sit down and get ready. Birds are aerodynamic. Yes, they are. Look at the face of the Saqqara object. It's clearly a bird. All right, that's out of my system. Let's get a little more serious here because there are more serious people looking at this. The History Channel tests fail for a reason that might be less obvious and which points to clear bias. If you watch the History Channel episode with the wind tunnel tests, and we'll link to that on the episode webpage, one can see some sleight of hand. The bird or plane being tested has a horizontal tail, something that the Saqqara object does not have. Horizontal fins, called horizontal stabilizers today, are essential for flight or glider stability. In other words, what we learned by watching the wind tunnel test on the History Channel is that if the Saqqara bird had the features of a plane, it might be a glider. It's too bad that it doesn't have the crucial feature of a horizontal tail, though, in reality. In short, the Saqqara bird is not capable of flight without that feature. This is like arguing your bike is a motorcycle and then to prove it, you do a speed test on your bike with an engine added to it. Then you say, see, if my bike had the features of a motorcycle, it would be a motorcycle. Well, no kidding. Now, fortunately, we have a more competent test on the bird than the History Channel. Like I said earlier, there really are some serious people who have looked at this. Perhaps the most thorough tests to date have been conducted by Martin Gregory, whose website bio informs us that he has designed, built, and flown free flight gliders for more than 30 years. In other words, he knows what he's doing. Now, Mr. Gregory decided to use CAD, that's computer-assisted drawing tools, to create a precise model of the bird and test it. You can read about his processes on the episode webpage. We will link to his work there. The short version for us, though, is that the bird didn't fly. Remember, it has no horizontal stabilization tail. It also didn't fly in a stable fashion when Mr. Gregory added two types of horizontal tail fins. In short, if an Egyptian built one of these and their alien friends were kind enough to drop it from altitude for a gliding test, the pilot would be killed in the ensuing crash. I think our conclusion ought to be obvious at this point. The Saqqara bird is a bird. It's a wooden object that someone in ancient Egypt fashioned to look like a bird. It's just an artistic opinion, a rendering, maybe a toy, something like that. It's not something that we can use to build and actually fly. Sorry, but birds are aerodynamic and the Saqqara bird is a bird. Thanks for watching Fringe Pop 321. Please visit our website, fringepop321.com, for source material for this episode and every episode that we do. And if you're interested in supporting what we do at Fringe Pop, please visit fp321.com/S, as in the letter S, and make a donation. and come back and watch more episodes, because what you know may not be so. Some amateur researchers thought the Saqqara bird looked like a
Mike,
plane.
I want you
Yes.
to pick it up at the History Channel.
Okay.
That plane is just too obnoxious. So we're going to start at the History Channel part again and keep going there.
What is too
The
obnoxious?
plane flying overhead.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the plane.
No. Mike, the plane you're talking about is just too obnoxious. You cannot talk about it.
Okay.